Thanks for joining Nayya for our webinar today, where we will talk about using technology for success in open enrollment. Today's guests will be Jeff Oldham, founder of Informed Consulting; Jon Fisher, Principal Head of Sales at Salty; and moderated by Sina Shirazi, co-founder and CEO of Nayya.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending Nayya's latest webinar on emerging technology within the employee benefits space. Today, we're going to be focusing on how tech is transforming the open enrollment ecosystem, and we're very, very excited to welcome two leading subject matter experts from the space with us today. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce Jon Fisher. Jon is Principal and Head of Sales for Salty.Insurance. Salty strives to improve how employee benefits are distributed with innovative products and enrollment methodologies. Jon's been in the benefit space for over 15 years as an independent broker and advisor, and has developed extensive industry expertise, particularly around the education ecosystem, healthcare, and for general large employers. He builds successful strategies that drive down premium costs and maintain price stability through pioneering product design and implementation. Jon, thanks so much for making a few minutes this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Sina.
Wonderful. And we also have Jeff Oldham with us today. Jeff's the founder of Informed Consulting. He has 25 years of experience across servicing enterprise employers, insurance carriers, ben admin platforms, and consumers. Prior to creating Informed, Jeff was an executive in sales leadership at Benefit Focus. And prior to Benefit Focus, had a 13-year career across Prudential, Unum, and Nationwide. Jeff has been named by Employee Benefits Advisor as one of the 30 benefit thought leaders to know and the 30 people to watch in benefits in 2017, has been featured across different media platforms as well. Jeff, thanks for making a few minutes this morning.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
And for those who don't know me, my name is Sina Shirazi. I'm co-founder and CEO of Nayya, and we are a technology company that uses data science to personalize the way that people choose and use their insurance. So we'll get right into it this morning. I mean, Jon, you've been in the employee benefits and the OE enrollment business for a while. Thinking about the turn of the century and really the last 2 decades into 2020, can you give us a brief history of all the things you've sort of seen during this time throughout the space?
Sure. I can take it even back a little bit further when I first got my first job and went through my first benefits enrollment experience. And I was literally handed a packet. I remember this packet. I remember getting the packet and enrolling in medical, dental, and vision and some other products, and filling out as many paper forms for as many products as I wanted. So that was my first taste, I would say, of the benefits world before I became a broker. And then once I got into it, that was just intensified. It was a very, very much a paper process. Everything from core benefits to voluntary benefits. And my main focus when I first got in was voluntary benefits. So you'd help people do their enrollment, you'd help them fill out their medical forms, and then you'd fill out their voluntary forms, and your hands would literally get tired from filling out forms. The first evolution that I've seen in the benefits admin space was just a system created to eliminate that paper process. Right? That was its only goal, and I can even go into more detail. That some of the sites look just exactly like the forms. They formed the the online enrollment to look exactly like the application, which is interesting. So that was really the first foray of the technology coming into the ben admin space. That was the first wave. It was really to simplify the enrollment process, eliminate the paperwork. Next wave was kind of the the decision tool, right, to help them make the right decision on their medical benefits. And that was really done more at a very, very high level. It wasn't overall a very personalized experience for that employee. It was more general. And then this next wave that we're seeing is really more detailed. It's really exciting. It's becoming more personalized for the employee. These benefit decision tools that really drill down to a level that pertains to that individual employee. So it's been 20 years. It's been quite the change from point A to where we are today. It's been quite the change.
It's incredible. You know, it's encouraging in a way. We're reading that 25% more employers this year will use a ben admin platform than even just last year. Much of that in sort of the smaller and middle market, but it's incredible to think in just 2 decades how a space has been so transformed and disrupted by technology. That's great. And Jeff, similar to Jon, you've been in the insurance carrier and benefit technology space your entire career. You have to admit, due to a global pandemic, this fall enrollment will be unlike any other that anyone has seen before. How do you think employers are going to manage this drastic change?
Well, just real quick story that Jon made me think of. My first experience with open enrollment was in the early 90s at a cigar factory in Tampa, Florida. And I had to stand on top of a cafeteria table while people were smoking and bark out to them why they needed to purchase life and AD&D insurance. So we've really come full circle since then. But looking at this fall, as Jon well knows, what I've often found in open enrollment communication is, you had the sort of the face-to-face and you had the group meetings and videos and what have you, but sort of the virtual open enrollment piece was always an option. Well, now, you're moving from an optional nice to have to it's center and front center stage, where the opportunity for employees to evaluate benefits and make their selection and what have you. This is an enormous time for online enrollment and benefit administration companies. And I would say, in addition, it's a big time for the entire ecosystem, because if you are an insurance carrier, for example, and you've relied heavily on face-to-face contact to sell your product, you're going to have now have partners to ensure that they can communicate the value of your products in a virtual setting. First time ever, this has been an absolute 100% requirement. If you're a broker like Jon, in addition to evaluating products for your customers, you have to also then talk about how to support them in a virtual enrollment setting to ensure that the products that you're recommending are purchased. And then, last but not least, again, for benefit administration companies, this is sort of their moment. And, I for one, sort of look forward to the results following open enrollment.
Yeah, absolutely. It will certainly be non-optional. And, what we've learned from our broker partners and carrier partners is just that, a 1% increase in participation is a 5% change in premium, right? So this is so important. Just think about how much people are protecting themselves when they just engage into the system. Just being able to not only maintain participation numbers, but increase, it's going to be a challenge. And folks will have to innovate. It's interesting. I was watching a piece on CNBC last week. Wine sales in this country pre-pandemic were about 6% online. And just in the first 100 days of the pandemic, that changed by 400%. 100 days, 24% of wine sales going digital. When folks talk about digital America and America 2.0, to both of your points, every single industry is being disrupted, and this industry is no different. I would say the stakes in this industry are really high, and it's great to see innovators preparing for that in terms of everything that's gonna come up this fall and beyond. Jon, you advise a lot of companies. You advise mid-market companies. You also have as your clients some of the largest employers in the United States. I mean, when you are assessing let's say a benefits administration platform, what are the kinds of things that you look for when you're advising your clients?
I think it's interesting to say that one of the very first things I look for is the feel of the system, and that's maybe a strange way to describe it, but aesthetically and the experience the employee is engaging in has got to draw the employee in. It can't be just a kind of the nuts and bolts. A lot of systems we still see today are just they handle the mechanics. They handle the mechanics very well, but it's got to go to the next level. We want something that the employee kind of gets into the experience, and because really the longer you keep them engaged in the enrollment process, the more educated they're going to be. I think that's a very vital component that's been overlooked in kind of bin admin 1.0, right? And it makes sense with the evolution of the system. It totally makes sense of what it was first built to deliver. But the employee's got to be engaged. So the mechanics have to be there. The EDI, the APIs, the ability to run complex eligibility. I work with a lot of school districts, and they have a lot of nuances in their eligibility or their benefit plans, handle a bunch of different price points just for medical alone, handle a multitude of medical options. So that's a must, right? But the next step is that that overall feel of the system, that You want that employee engaged. I saw a stat not too long ago that 66% of bankruptcies are due to medical expenses. And if you draw that across the board to how many people actually have medical coverage, you know a good percentage of those folks have medical coverage. They just probably chose the wrong plan, and they didn't know how to use or what else to augment that coverage with, whether there was a voluntary package available at work or not. They didn't even stay engaged in their enrollment platform long enough. They just probably chose what they had last year and tried to finish the process. So we really look for something that can deliver the whole package to the employee, keep the employee engaged, get them educated, but also make them feel like they're not being sold to, right? And nobody wants to be sold. They want to make their decision based off what feels best fits their needs. And so I think it's probably those three areas that we really look for in the system.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about how e-commerce has helped curate experiences for people in so many other industries, right? Where they are purchasing, they're not being sold, right? And that's such an awesome point. I think in our space, it's no different. Jeff, it seems that everything that we're reading these days and now in benefits, it's about AI and machine learning and machine learning and AI. What does the role of AI and machine learning play in open enrollment in your view this fall and beyond?
It's interesting because again, this being really the first required virtual open enrollment, and recognizing that employees won't have that person in the cafeteria or in the meeting room that can walk them through their benefits. I would say when it comes to decision support, artificial intelligence and machine learning is having sort of its sort of coming out party this fall. And if you think about it, from an e-commerce perspective, we've been utilizing these tools for years. When you're looking to evaluate homes, you perhaps go to a site like Zillow or Cars, Auto Trader, and you could go on and on. But the best thing about these sites is that they use AI and machine learning to ensure that they deliver personalization. So they want to ensure that you're going to come back to the site, and the reason that you do is because the site understands you and gives you great recommendations. I would say for this fall, a company like Nayya, for example, really utilizing these data assets associated with AI and machine learning is going to have a wonderful opportunity to work with other bin admin companies and HCM platforms and payroll companies with bin admin modules, simply because they're able to bring their core asset of machine learning and AI to the benefit selection process. And again, keep in mind that this is, for most Americans, medical and benefits is their second or third largest spend they make every single year. So they should have the right AI and machine learning tools in order to make that kind of investment.
They're big financial choices, no doubt about it. And consumers deserve education, right? Who knows what 21 is going to bring? I think we're all hoping it's an improvement on some of the things that we've had to work through this year, but makes these financial choices so important, and they deserve that sort of transparency. Well, at least we believe that at Nayya. We've talked a little bit about the last 2 decades. We've talked a lot about this fall. Looking beyond this year, I mean, you two are two of the most sort of technology forward professionals in this space. I think everybody knows that. Thinking about 2021 and beyond, what's next in the ben admin space? What's next in the decision support space? What's next in the insurtech space? Jeff, maybe we can start with you, and then Jon, would love to hear your predictions and sort of trend spotting as well.
Yeah, so I'll talk about maybe some digital health stuff, and Jon can talk on the more ben admin front. But as everyone is aware, with COVID, telehealth is obviously obtained mass adoption. It's been around for almost 10 years. But I was speaking to a large employer this morning, and their telehealth adoption has literally increased 7,000%, year over year. And I guess the way I view sort of digital health is telehealth is really just sort of an initial entry point. But really, a multitude of condition management is going to transition to virtual. So you've already seen the success of Livongo and managing diabetes and hypertension. There are a number of behavioral health companies that are out there as well. Musculoskeletal conditions being able to be managed virtually. And so I find this really, really exciting. I'm also convinced that post-COVID healthcare will not go back to the way it used to be managed. This is sort of the new and the new reality going forward in healthcare in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to sort of see how things go back to normal, right? It's a structural change. At least many folks believe that. And Jon, how about you? I mean, thinking about Ben admin and sort of enrollment beyond this year and into the future, what trends are you spotting that you think will certainly continue to persist?
I think there's two trends, and one I think we're really on the cusp of, and that's taking the Ben admin systems and making it extremely more personalized, right? We've seen the benefit decisions tools in the past, but that was really more just plugging in maybe guesstimated numbers of what that employee is what the utilization is going to look like the next year. Now we're at a place where there's so much more data to be drawn from that you can pull in and really hone in really close to not just the approximation of what that employee may use just based off their own demographic information, but you're going to pull in information of people like them, and not only people like them, but people like them that live in their area, right? So you can really fine tune what data you pull in and make those benefit decisions very personalized in what applies to that individual. So you're taking a system that was made to kind of handle the mass enrollment, right? Simplify the mass enrollment. And now you're holding it down to where, hey, I really feel like an individual as I go through this process, and it's really helping me. It's not here just to capture my election per se, but it's here to help me make the right choice. And I think the next step after that is the post enrollment piece, right? You have your benefit package, you have your benefit plans. Now you got to use it, right? Now you have a claim question, you have a provider question, and with the ratio that we see in the HR world, it's common that it's one HR person to 200 employees. I've seen it up to as far as one HR person for 500 employees. And there's just really no way for them to handle the individual care or recommendations for that many people. It's just not feasible. They have other tasks that they need to do at work, right? Besides taking care of just benefits. That's just one piece of what their job is. So a tool that, again, has got to be engaging. Like that component to me is so vital, but that they'll be drawn back into post-enrollment, right? And that's a big shift in the mentality of individuals, because they see these Ben admin systems as a one and done for the year. They don't have to touch it to the next year. So it's a shift in mentality of, hey, that was useful. They get drawn back in, they get recommended by the HR, and they go in and see, who's their closest care provider that's got the experience that they want, or that's in the price point that best fits their needs. So I really see those two areas in the changing.
Yeah. What do you do when you wake up on January 2nd with a sore throat, right? Who's there to help you out? That's a great point. That's a great point. I want to squeeze this in. Both of you pretty active within the technology and benefits sort of innovation space. Now, other than Nayya, and if you say Jellyvision, I'm not sure we'll be able to have you guys back. But what's one or two other companies, even sort of outside the enrollment world, but within sort of employer technology that you guys are really, really excited about, and I would want the employers and the advisors and the carriers with us today to know about.
I'm happy to give us
Jeff. We can
yeah. So I mentioned earlier that telehealth, mass adoption, and that's terrific. But I'm sort of looking forward to, okay, what's after telehealth? I've read all sorts of studies that ultimately, the number of PCPs in America versus telehealth, that there will be a disparity. And so I'm keeping tabs on a company called CureAI, CURAI, and they have developed a primary care physician model solely using AI and machine learning to diagnose conditions and write scripts. There's another company called Zogo Finance, some ex-Duke grads that are using gamification to teach folks about financial wellness. And last but not least, there's this company called ThinkXGo. Its CEO is the former head of Walmart Benefits, and it's using neuroplasticity in a way to sort of rewire the brain to help people overcome sort of historical behavioral health issues. So digital health is just exploding, and it's just really exciting to be in the space.
Neuroplasticity. Say that 3 times in backwards. Don, how about yourself?
I'll give you a little bit of a plug here, Sina. I think the technologies such as Nayya are exciting because they're filling a need that was created in the bin admin space. Like I said before, like a lot of systems can handle the mechanics of it, the eligibility and showing you what's available. But the education, right? We all know that education is vital, and it's more difficult than just putting the information out there, right? Everything's out there today, but actually getting people engaged and making it personal. And I think for as exciting as it looks today, I think even really what's coming down in that space is exciting to see. Another one I saw recently was one that's called Eye to Eye, and the reason it was fascinating to me it's taking this video conferencing to the next level, and this has become our new norm, right? This video conferencing was something that we did maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, and now it's 4 or 5 times a day, right? This is our new lives, and really for the unforeseeable future. And this technology is creating a way that is trying to make these video conferencings feel more personal. Actually creating and they have some technology they're working on for the eye contact, which to me is the piece that I miss in doing these virtual meetings. So exciting to see somebody working on that, trying to solve the disconnect that can happen with video conferencing.
Yeah, that's a great company that we've had, we've been watching too. I mean, all of us get a little bit of Zoom fatigue from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Jeff Oldham, Charleston, South Carolina, Jon Fisher, Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you so much. I mean, reach out to these guys on LinkedIn, spend 20 minutes talking to them, and you'll learn a lot about, I think, the latest trends within our space. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning. We hope that you and yours have a safe and happy and healthy rest of the week and a tremendously successful fall enrollment season. And please keep an eye out for our next webinar. But for now, Jon, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your week, everyone.
Thank you.